This is the QuickJack 5000TL model edition. There's some different editions and it really depends on the weight that you want to lift, but the wheelbase of the particular vehicle. On this 5000TL, these are the components that you get in the kit. You're going to get both lift ramps themselves, two things that'll help you grab these rails and scoot them over into position under the cars, two full sets of blocks, a small riser block, a mid-size riser block, and these are stackable. So you see you've got two full sets of those. Here's the hydraulic pump system itself with your two hoses, which I already have attached. You've got your up and down lift button, which is very handy, and of course your power cord. But this is the full set that comes in the kit. Now when it comes to connecting these hoses, these are quick connect fittings, but I'm going to give you a tip a little bit later which is going to make this whole process a little bit easier. If you do that tip, these go together very simply. You're just going to hold the collar, push into the valve, and it clicks like so. Once you've got the hoses connected, the next step is really to get the lift platforms into position, and what you want to think about is where these blocks are going to land in relation to your jack points. If you're not familiar with your jack points in your vehicle, make sure to look up the owner's manual, but then you also decide how many blocks you're going to need, whether the small or the short. I prefer not to stack them if I can get away with it, and in this case we're not going to. It's right underneath the lift points. We're going to begin to slowly lift just to get these blocks into position and make sure they're where we want them. This happens to be the lifting mechanism. As you can see, there's only two simple buttons, up and down, but I think this is the coolest thing. It makes me feel like I'm in a real shop. And I'm going to start pressing just the up button, and you can see how nice and smoothly that begins to go up. And from there, I'm going to just double check to make sure that my rubber mounts are going to be right in the position where I want them to be. Now that we've verified the position, I'm going to take it up a little bit more. And once I get the car to where I feel like it's just getting off the ground, I want to stop and I want to do a shake test on the car. You always want to do a shake test on a car whenever you have it off the ground before you get under it. This bad boy's not going anywhere, so I'm going to take it the rest of the way up. Now I'm going to take it all the way up to full lock. Once I get there and this safety bar catches, I'm going to let it down a little bit to make sure that the safety bar is holding all of the weight of the vehicle. So you can see now that this safety bar is caught. There's no way that this car can come down on top of me while I'm underneath it. And that's truly one of my favorite things. Now, depending on your car, how many riser blocks you use, if you use the extension blocks or what have you, you're going to have plenty of room to go underneath the car. In this particular case, even to this plastic trim on the rocker, I have between probably about 21.5 inches. If I were to use double the blocks, I'd easily have 24 inches. I've done a lot of work on this car. This is my teenage son's car. And as you guys know, if you have teenage sons or daughters, you're always doing a lot of work on the cars. There's accidents that happen all the time. Now, some pros, some cons, and some tips that I want to share with you. And my favorite thing, which we've already kind of gone over already, my favorite thing is absolutely this safety latch bar mechanism that will not allow, even if there was a hydraulic failure, would not allow the car to come down. Now, my favorites, the lift height, we talked about that. With up to 24 inches that I can get underneath, there's plenty of room. I was working on the Viper, just on the regular jack stands. I wanted to do the differential fluid. I wasn't able to get the breaker bar to do a full enough torque to break that loose, but on this I was, so that's great. So the 24-inch height is fantastic. This push button up and down couldn't be easier, and it's so fluid and easy and super cool. Sturdiness. This thing's made out of heavy duty steel and it's not going anywhere. You actually feel safe while you're underneath it. And there's a bunch of accessories you can get. So you can get rubber blocks that actually have pinch weld slots, so you're not crushing those. You can get aluminum extension blocks. And I also have the QuickJack wall mount hooks. Let me grab those real quick. These are the mounting hooks by QuickJack. You see it has a nice rubberized finish, and this is going to mount right into the studs of your wall. Again, heavy duty metal with the nice QJ water cut in there, so really cool. Now cons, really there's only one con, and it is honestly overlapping with the Pro, and that is the weight of these things. These are very heavy, and you know, you've got to drag them around throughout the shop and things like that, pull them off your wall. The good thing to overcome that is that there's wheels on the one end, so you're going to tip it up and you're going to roll it on the wheels. Without those, it would really be a struggle. However, again, it is part of a Pro because it adds to the sturdiness of the equipment. So, con and pro at the same time is how heavy and sturdy these are. Now, pro tip. Take your time when bleeding the system. When you first get the system, you have to bleed the air out of it to make sure that it's fluidly going up and down. That's going to take you about 20 minutes in total. Just take your time doing that and know that it's very important to get all the air out of the system. You only have to do it once and then it's going to work right forever. The second tip, when you let this down, is to make sure after it's fully seated to the ground, hold the down button for about 10 seconds. That's going to evacuate the hydraulic fluid from the hoses. That's going to make it a lot easier the next time when it comes to clipping those couplers back together. If you don't get all that fluid out of there, you cannot compress it to get that back on, and you have a real battle on your hands. So just make sure you have that button down, and it's going to evacuate back into the reservoir. So that's it, the QuickJack 5000TL. Fantastic buy. I use this thing all the time, and you will too.